Deconstructing Consciousness, How Your Thoughts Create Your Reality. Hi, have you ever stopped to wonder, is everything you see right in front of you, everything you touch with your hands, is it really an objectively existing reality out there? Or, perhaps, are these merely projections of your own thoughts? Today, based on the profound insights of a master, we're going to thoroughly deconstruct this ultimate enigma consciousness and explore how your thoughts, minute by minute, create what you call your reality. Alright, let's dive straight into the core. What exactly is consciousness? You might have heard many psychological and scientific explanations, but the answer we're going to explore today might completely overturn all your previous understanding. Okay, here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll give a completely new definition to consciousness. Next, we'll look at how a thought transforms into tangible reality. Then, we'll discuss the connection between all of this and the DNA in your body. Finally, we'll summarize the ultimate law that creates your personal reality. Ready? Let's begin. Part 1. A new definition of consciousness, intention, and knowing. Our first stop is to overturn what you know, and that must start from the root. So let's return to the word consciousness itself and dig out a completely new definition from its structural one you might have never considered. The master's explanation is truly ingenious. He breaks down consciousness. He is a clear, distinct concept or point established in your mind. For example, the thought I like to drink coffee. That is, what? The key lies in the second character. When your thought I like to drink coffee is repeated until it becomes a deeply ingrained habit don't laugh. Your red without a cup every morning and transforms into your S. A knowing, recognition, habitual awareness. These two, combined, form a powerful force that shapes your will consciousness. So, you see, this first concept is already revolutionary. What you recognize, you become. Do you believe that you are this body? Well, according to this definition, that is merely the most stubborn S. The one you most deeply believe in within your consciousness. Part 2. The quantum mechanism of creation. The question now is, how exactly does this process happen? How does an intangible, invisible thought become the visible, touchable material world? Regarding this, the master uses a metaphor from quantum physics to describe this mechanism of creation, which is extremely insightful. This creation process essentially happens in 4 steps. First step, when a thought arises in your mind, it stirs up a wave of energy in the universe. Second step, your observation. Your focus acts like a hand, instantly causing this ethereal wave to collapse, snap into a solid particle. Third and fourth steps, by continuously paying attention to it and defining it, ultimately solidifying this particle into the material world you see before your eyes. This statement highlights the most essential concept. We're never passive receivers of reality. On the contrary, every one of us is an active participant, personally solidifying what we call true through our own repetitive definitions. The master's metaphor here is brilliant. Imagine an iron plate covered with sand. When you vibrate the plate at different frequencies, the sand arranges itself into various complex and beautiful patterns. Our thoughts are like that vibrational frequency, and our life experience is the reality we experience all the patterns created. Part 3. The DNA blueprint of reality. Well, what is the connection between this grand universal law of creation and ourselves? The connection is huge, and it is condensed within our own bodies, even miniaturized to the level of ourselves. The following discovery may give you a completely new understanding of your physical self. Let's zoom out to the furthest point. Before anything took shape, there existed what the master calls the information universe. You can imagine it as an ocean filled with all possibilities, a field of pure potential. Then, within this ocean of infinite possibilities, your thought, your single intention, acts like a spotlight suddenly cast onto the surface of the sea, wherever the light shines. The potential that begins to condense this process is called collapse. This process of collapse is much like selecting one specific tree from an entire forest. Infinite possibilities are narrowed by your consciousness, condensing into a specific particle. This is the first building block you use to construct your personal reality. And here's the most powerful part. Guess where this entire process from universe to particle ultimately ends up? It lands right on a DNA blueprint in your body, becoming a concrete information print. You must remember this statement. Your thoughts are constantly rewriting your genes. Don't think this is just some abstract theory. This DNA blueprint, which you are constantly rewriting, directly determines every aspect of your life, your health and diseases, your appearance, your wealth and opportunities, and even the filter through which you perceive the world. Whether the world you see is filled with joy or suffering is all determined by it. Part 4. The cruel truth of mere intention versus deep consciousness. Since our deep consciousness is so powerful and is even rewriting DNA, what are all those plans and goals we usually think about in our heads what the master calls intentional thought worth? Their power is likely far less than you imagine. The master uses a classic novel example to illustrate this somewhat harsh truth. Let's look at this comparison. It's truly ironic. Zhi Fang wholeheartedly wanted to find the murderer to seek revenge, yet he personally killed the person he loved most, creating the greatest tragedy of his life. Shu Zhu only wanted to be a simple, law-abiding young monk, but he unintentionally became a peerless master and the leader of a massive power. Merongfu, needless to say, schemed endlessly, desperately wanting to be emperor, only to end up being emperor in madness. None of their intentional thoughts came to pass. This tells us one thing: the carefully considered plans and goals in our minds are often just ripples on the water's surface. The true force driving the ship of our lives is the vast, deep undercurrent of consciousness beneath the surface, the one we often don't even perceive ourselves. Conclusion: the ultimate law of creation. Alright, all the puzzle pieces are now nearly complete. We must now put them all together to see the most fundamental and powerful law concerning your own power and responsibility. The master points out a critical distinction here. For most of us, our consciousness operates more like illusion, causing us to be passively led by our own patterns. However, for the awakened person, this same force can be transformed into wisdom, the ability to clearly see the essence of things and penetrate the law of creation, which is referred to as the marvelous inside wisdom. This is the key turning point from passive endurance to active creation. This also completely overturns our view of causality. Causality is not a reward or punishment from heaven, nor is it fate. It is simply a neutral universal law of creation, like the law of gravity, with no good or bad, right or wrong. And you and I, every one of us, are the creators who are using this law every single moment. Finally, the master uses the simplest yet most powerful analogy. The universe is a mirror. What you give out is what it reflects back. Behind this statement lies a truth that empowers you with boundless strength. You are never the victim of your environment. You are the sole source of everything you experience. So, at the end of this analysis, I want to leave one question for everyone to ponder. Since our every thought is shaping our reality, what kind of world are you building for yourself right this very moment?